Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Dominic and I am the host of the Android Factory. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. So in the last episode we talked about colors and theming and a little bit of light mode and dark mode, and we went over this little baseline material color theme, what these different attributes mean, how they play with one another, etc. So if you missed that, go ahead. It's a little bit of a lengthier video, but it's a pretty good overview, and hopefully it makes a lot of sense, and then we'll be able to pick up from where we are right now. So let's pop back into the Android Studio, and then this is our app, right? We have all default colors other than these that we added in and a little bit of the background, but default accent colors, default primary colors, all that kind of stuff, and the dark mode is the default dark mode, of course, so we haven't edited anything. At the end of the episode, I mentioned that I actually went ahead and kind of updated the palette behind the scenes, and that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. So maybe you're like, well, what's going on? You said you updated things. It's actually not there. I don't see anything changed. This was a perfect opportunity for me to talk about the Git stashing and also unstashing, I guess. So inside of our, I don't think you can see it, but on the top menu here, above the window of Android Studio, there is a little option here called VCS for version control system. And then there's a Git secondary menu, I don't know what it's called. And when you have changes on a particular branch, you can actually stash them. I don't think anything's going to come. Oh, well, I don't think I have any changes, but I don't. But if you did, you can actually stash those changes, basically save your state, and then you can unstash them later. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I stashed the changes before, and now we're going to unstash them. And so then when you do that, I guess I had one before as well. We can just go ahead and actually drop a particular stash. I'm just going to leave it alone for now. I hate the idea of that, but you can drop them. You can also view them, and so you can then see what the oh, I remember that. Yeah, you can actually see like what the changes were. So I think that flow example is good. But now we have here our color theming one, which was on master, and then it gives you the little chance to write something there so that you kind of know what's going on. So you can actually apply stash, but you can also pop stash, which is useful in a sense that it's going to not only apply the stash, but then it's going to remove it from your like stash repository here. So I tend to do that because it's usually saving your work and then coming back to it later. So you're going to go ahead and click pop stash, and now we're going to see everything that's kind of updated here. So you can see all these different changes here. If we actually go ahead and pretend to commit, there's a bunch of different changes. But one thing that I want to talk about here is the colors. Yeah, as you can see, we went through a bunch of them. We settled on 2 of these palettes here. I think we actually need to change the secondary color here, but point being, I don't think these are being used yet. So none of these are being used anymore. Maybe black and white are, because that's just like pretty normal. And so let's just go ahead and rerun this application and see what we got. So if you remember what it looked like, it was that purpley and teal color. And of course we have purple 700. Let's just do blue-gray 700 then. That's kind of our new default for things. And so boom, the app still functions the same. Absolutely nothing has changed about it, other than our little bit of theming here. Like I said, we got to change this. I don't really like the secondary color, but you know, you can kind of see it has this lighter feel. It has this, I don't know, I mean, maybe like mechanical. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an app that we're like, you know, writing things down. That's basically a glorified notepad. So I didn't want to go too bold with any of the colors or anything like that. But you can see that things work exactly the same, right? Your primary color is kind of, you know, dragged onto the different elements, as we discussed in the last video. They're dragged into the top here, and then these like little secondary elements are kind of whatever you choose for your secondary color. But we actually have a little bit of a different theme in our dark mode here. So it's the same idea, but it does, you know, I don't know, it provides a little bit of a difference here. And if we go backwards here, you can kind of see, you know, the difference here between, we actually have the app bar header-ish area all blending into one, as in the status bar. We don't have a darker color. We just have it a solid color, so it just looks like one big block. You have your background here, and then we're going to go ahead and have our like surfaces here. Listen, I'm not a designer. I work with designers on a very regular basis, but I'm not an actual designer. So forgive me if this isn't actually like the most beautiful thing you've ever feasted your eyes on. But I did kind of want to bring this up to show you the differences here. So again, background color, surface color, and this little header color. But if we go backwards, you can see this is immediately a little bit lighter, obviously. But there's a difference between this and then this here that provides a little bit of that like separation or elevation, aspect to things. But actually in dark mode, for whatever reason, I like it to just consume everything. It also might look a little weird because it's on an emulator that doesn't have a frame on it, and everything looks worse on an emulator than it does on your phone. So if you are following along with this and you do have the project opened up, on your computer and stuff like that, run it on your actual device. I think it looks a lot better there, or I think it will look a lot better there. I actually haven't done it yet, but nevertheless, I just kind of wanted to show you that there is this ability to theme things differently, come up with your own little spin on it, and then you can have these differences in the night and light mode here. So you can actually see we've gone ahead and overridden some of these attributes here, right? So we have the background, we have surface, on primary, on secondary we already had, but on background, on surface, and then the equivalents for error. So we have the background, the color on the background, the color surface, and then the color on the surface. So if we take a deeper dive here and look at them, let's go back to because we need to be in light mode. We can see here the background is blue-gray 50, so if you can actually see and then the surface here is white, right? So I've called these cards to be surfaces, at least the background elements of the cards are deemed to be the surface attributes. So you can see that is a crisp, clear white, and then this background here behind it is actually a little bit of a blue-gray 50. It's a very, very faint version of one of these little blue-gray colors that we have in the project here. So you can see that these surfaces kind of pop here. These surfaces here are different than this header element here, but in dark mode they actually kind of blend together a little more. And if we go ahead and flip over to these themes, you can see that the color primary and the color primary variant are actually the 900 value of our blue-gray, and then the surface is also our blue-gray 900. The background is a 700. So you can see that this color here and this are exactly the same. This is a little bit of the background feel. And maybe when we can be able to start scrolling this, it might look better or worse, and we can tweak things as we go. But point being, just want to show you that we can do this kind of stuff. I'm not in love with this secondary color. I'm gonna leave it because literally I was probably spending like an hour or two last night, like way later than I wanted it to be, to get that to work. Or to get all of this to work and to get our little elements updated and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just very picky, and I want to make something that looks good, but at the same time it's a glorified notepad, so there's not too much to look good. But anyway, yeah, that's it. This is going to be the theme for now that we're going to proceed with here. I actually like it in light mode, maybe a little bit better, but whatever. Regardless, we have our different themes set up here. We have we have two of these swatches here of colors. You can see ranging from 50 all the way to 900, and then they kind of just progressively get darker. And then the same thing here with this like pink orange color that I named. They were ripped from this, I believe. Yeah. So the blue-gray is the blue-gray, and then it might be the deep orange. I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but I like seeing these swatches here, A, because this is unbelievably satisfying, and B, it just gives you a little bit of freedom when you're trying to actually tweak your theme. It just gives you a little bit of help if you're like, yeah, I want it a little darker than 400, you can just go to 500, So, whatever, I digress. But yeah, that's about it. I kind of wanted to introduce the new theme, and specifically the dark mode theme. This is something that is most definitely a professional point. You know, if you have your phone in dark mode and you open an app and it's just constantly in light mode, me as a user, I'm going to be pissed because A, it's a little bit lazy, and B, like I'm putting it in dark mode because I don't want to have this massive white screen that I'm staring at with a little bit of text on it. Like I'd rather things be the darker color with a little bit of pop here for the actual, um, elements on the content on the screen. But and then just to show you, everything still works just as we had it before. There's nothing new here. All that stuff still operates, so you can kind of see this theming as something completely different from the functionality of your application, which I think is a really good thing, because then if we're like, you know what, we hate this blue-gray stuff, we're going to just update it to be red or just a deeper blue or more gray or whatever the case is, you can just plug into these different values, or maybe just, have a whole different swatch that you have in here, update your values in here, maybe you got to tweak a couple different things here in your specific themes, and then you move on, and then that's it. So yeah, we probably are not passing accessibility there. That's another thing that has to do with colors and theming, but for this application, I'm not too worried about it. Right now, I'm going to end up changing it at some point because that's brutal to look at. But we could say, in light mode, we could keep this exact color, and then in dark mode, we're going to have to figure something out. It's going to have to be a little bit different. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope it makes sense. If you have been following the series and have Android Studio on your computer and stuff like that, please go ahead and pull down this repository here. I'm gonna just say updated color palette. How do you spell palette? E-T-T. Yeah, sorry. Updated color palette for new theme and dark mode support. And we're going to commit and push that. So if you are keeping up to date with it, if you want to pull the repository down and see how the application looks, and maybe play around with these different colors in here, see how it tweaks your different elements and whatnot, feel free. Great. Love for you to do that. Love any feedback on it, and then you can run it on a real device, and hopefully things will look a little bit better. So I'm going to cut it here. I think we're going to proceed with, well, we're going to leave the theming stuff behind at this point. I just wanted to, briefly introduce it, talk about it, and because it is very important, but it's also maybe very scary, especially at first. You don't really know how everything's connected, so I get that. Trust me, I struggled with it I still struggle with it at certain times. So it's definitely a little annoying. It's definitely a bit cumbersome, and everyone in the Android community knows it. So they are actively looking to change that. But for now, it's worth it to know how this stuff is operating under the hood, and the introduction of the material components helped that tremendously. And if you had a designer and they were able to give you the right palette, I'm sure it's going to look fantastic, way better than this. But I think this is a good start, and I also like the fact that it's a little different than what came out of the box. So anyway, I think we'll move on from here, go back to maybe, I don't know, implementing some kind of editing, cleaning things up, maybe a bottom sheet, maybe we'll do tabs, who knows. We'll go whatever seems to make sense. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Please like, comment, and or subscribe. Any feedback on the channel or the videos in general would be great. Pretty flexible at this point to kind of deviate from whatever's in my head to accommodate something that some question that somebody has. So definitely don't be shy. Definitely feel free to reach out, ask about something. More than happy to create a whole video on it and then even call you out and dedicate it to you. I've done it before, and there's no reason I can't do it again. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Have a good day.